Iowa City, you need to take shelter now. You can hear the roar. You can hear the roar.
Yeah, you might want to back up these cars.
There's like a 500 millibar jet coming in at like 55 knots. That's probably what these are starting to kind of go on.
That's what's kicking everything loose. That jet.
Because that's what fired everything off down in Kansas right now. It's kind of working its way upstream or downstream, I guess. Technically. Still about 30,000 feet. Let's try it.
Checking in now with our CBS 2 Road Warrior, where Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart is out there in Cedar Rapids tracking today's weather that we've seen and what's to come now. Nick, what's it look like out there right now?
Hey, right now the sun is beginning to shine, the humidity is building on in as well. We're starting to get ready for a potential severe weather event later on this afternoon. Still a lot of question marks whether storms can form. Right now though, I gotta tell you, the environment is getting more and more primed. We got a fairly strong south wind right now, gusting as high as 20 miles per hour at times. And the temperatures right now, upper 70s to near 80 degrees. When looking at the humidity, upper 70s to near 80%, that makes the dew point close to 70 degrees. So it's very moist, unstable out here for sure. And we're already starting to see some towers begin to build up. The early manifestation, if you will, of some thunderstorms that may be starting to kind of increase here in a couple of hours. Something we are keeping an eye on. One storm kind of northwest of Cedar Rapids. More storms kind of in our far southern counties. So we're going to keep an eye on these storms to kind of give you the very latest. I will tell you that south wind right now is kind of bringing up some of the severe weather parameters right now, so we'll need to keep a close eye as we go through the rest of the afternoon. But again, not a slam dunk severe weather day. We'll keep an eye on it regardless. Live in Cedar Rapids, I'm Weather First meteorologist Nick Stewart, CBS 2 News, live at 5.
And we'll check in now with Weather First Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales, and yeah, a very fluid situation right now, Terry.
That it is, Mitch. We are trying to see some thunderstorms develop down to the south of us here, but at this moment, the atmosphere is a little bit capped. Things not really blowing up like they will later on tonight.
Like 22 to the west. Won't have to go too far. Once we get past this storm that's right out our window, we'll get a much better view of the other one. I gotta say, even just this little itty bitty guy's got some pretty good structure to it. So
We could see some storms move in also through the holiday weekend. While the Road Warrior keeps an eye on things out there in the corridor, Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales is monitoring everything from the Weather Center here in a very active, very fluid situation.
Yeah, in fact, you could see a big thunderstorm developing there where Nick is located. I think he's pretty close to Kelowna down in our southern counties.
kind of like it's got like kind of a hook feature on radar too. I don't know if that's just another updraft forming or if it's starting to try and get some supercellular structure. Still putting out a few lightning strikes. Still trying.
And here down south around Sigourney and Washington up to Iowa City and Williamsburg, that little region right in there is where our storms are beginning to take off now. There is a chance these could become severe and certainly produce some heavy downpours as they move off to the northeast during the evening hours tonight.
Let's get to the top of that hill and just point it and just look southwest. That is looking very good. That turns right here.
Right here?
Yeah, right here. And let's just turn right. Can I get on the top of this hill? Let's try and get a good view. Oh, baby. Yeah, okay. We got ourselves a storm. Very nice pronounced bass. Okay, well, the lightning is kind of scaring me too. Well, yeah, let's do outside the car if we can. Let's do that. I like that. I'm gonna call it. Thank you. You can really see the ripping on the left side. This whole storm is rotating right now. That is a big wall cloud that's going to form. That is a big wall cloud starting to form there. You can see the rising motion, and as it's rising, it's actually turning too.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Terry Swales, and what you're looking at now are some strong thunderstorms that are developing down in the southern parts of our viewing area. Our Nick Stewart has been out in the Road Warrior tracking these storms, and he's in this general area right now, and it does appear that that storm might actually have a bit of a wall cloud developing on it. So, Nick, could you tell us what you're seeing and what's going on down your way?
Hey, good evening, Terry. Right now, we're just a little bit west of Wellman. You can see a very classic supercell beginning to form here right in extreme northwestern Washington County. You can start seeing some of these wall clouds are beginning to form. We're even starting to see some early indications of rotation in that wall cloud, especially kind of above that leftmost barn. This is a very strong storm that continues to develop. On the far left side of that storm base, you can actually start seeing that the inflow tail there is kind of pulling in that warm, moist air. That's starting to kind of spin as well. So the storm is definitely strengthening. We're seeing a lot of moisture being pulled in with it. The structure continues to intensify as well. As we alluded to in the 5 o'clock show as well, the environment is definitely very, very ripe for development for these storms. We have temperatures right now about 80 or so degrees, dew points around 70, and that'll be the fuel for the storm. We're going to stick with it here for the next couple of hours because this definitely has the potential of being coming quickly severe here in the next couple of minutes, really.
So we do have a risk of severe storms here from the Storm Prediction Center from the northeastern corner of the state back to about Waterloo. But in my opinion, it's probably this region right in here that stands the best chance of seeing the severe weather, which could include wind, hail, and even a tornado spin-up. Then we get to tomorrow, and the threat's a little bit further south from about Cedar Rapids on down into southeastern Iowa. And so we definitely have to watch that very closely there. Now, from what I'm understanding, we have a tornado warning that has now been issued from that storm. So I am going to back the radar up here a little bit, and we'll take another look at it and show you what's currently out there. So since I'm not over at the wall, don't have all the specifics on this just yet. But as you can see, it's for Iowa and Johnson counties and a little part of Washington County as well. And there's the core of the storm that we're concerned about. And that's what's going to be moving northeast and heading into Johnson County over the next 15, 20 minutes or so.
But again, nothing on the ground right now, but very clearly evidence of rotation with the storm. I'm going to zoom in out here on the right side of that wall cloud. That's what we call an inflow tail. And that means we're getting warm, moist air flowing into that storm here. Again, this is just northwest of Wellman. Very clearly defined supercell, big rotating wall cloud, but right now, no tornado. Can we, we were supposed to go the other way. I'm sorry. Let's flip around as soon as you can.
Spin around.
Yep. Closing in on it, we have a pretty good funnel that just started forming. Again, this is just northwest of Amish, southwest of Windham. This is kind of that storm right now. We're starting to get into what's called the RFD, or rear flank downdraft of the storm. And usually this RFD is what can kind of kick these storms into gear to kind of get things going. But you can see that wall cloud right there. Pretty low contrast, a little bit of rain starting to wrap in around that wall cloud. But there was a funnel that formed about 2 minutes ago. It kind of dissipated, but still a strongly rotating wall cloud. You can see it on the radar. I have radar in my car, and I can tell you I can definitely see it visually as well. Very strong rotation at this road. We're going to make it right. Zim?
So, Nick, how far would you say that you're away from the actual storm right now? Are you within 2 miles, mile, something like that?
I'd say the actual circulation, we're probably less than a half mile. It's literally right over that next hill. But we're obviously keeping safety in mind. That's why we're coming in from the angle that we're doing this. This is my 10th year storm chasing, so we have a little bit of experience doing this here in this car. Again, this is a...
It looks like Nick is in an area where he's not getting the best signal right now. I'm sure he's going to come out of that as he gets closer to Iowa City. But we're going back to the radar right now, and there is where we are focused on as the storm is north of Wellman now, continuing to move off in a northeasterly direction. There is Highway 1, which it goes right north out of Kelowna there and heads on up towards Iowa City. And the storm appears to be moving to the northeast. Now, that scan came in there a little bit less aggressive on it. It's not as well organized, let's put it that way. But one thing you need to stress in a situation like this, these storms ebb and pulse. It's kind of like the human heart. It's just beating away out there. And sometimes it goes a little faster and sometimes a little bit slower. But that is currently where we're most concerned about, in that area there, just to the northwest of Kelowna, probably 2 or 3 miles northwest of there.
We had a pretty well-defined funnel there not too long ago. It kind of dissipated a little bit, but it looks like it's really starting to tighten up. Over the last about 5 to 10 minutes, this whole wall cloud has really kind of been tightening in this one smaller area. And that's exactly kind of what we are looking for in terms of seeing possible tornadoes, is this, the rotation kind of centralizing.
And boy, that's getting pretty close. It might be trying to do a little bit of a funnel right in there as we speak. Whether or not that goes down to the ground remains to be seen, but now you're starting to see the rotation and what appears to be a funnel developing with the storm. And there it is. It is certainly trying to come down. As soon as we get past this tree and this house here, we'll have a better look at it, but it's really trying hard to do it. Look at that, right in there. You are just about to see a tornado touch the ground here, and there it is. There's debris. Look at that, coming right out of there, fanning out. You can see it up in the air there. So we do have a tornado touchdown, and it looks like this is, well, just south of Oxford. Is that correct, Rebecca?
Yeah, it is just west of Hills, north of Kelowna, almost due north of Kelowna near Highway 1.
And there it is, folks. I mean, look at that roping out right in there. There it is. We are just north of Kelowna. I want to stress to you, if you're down there in Johnson County, this is a dangerous storm, a confirmed tornado. You're seeing it right there on the ground. Watch for the power flashes when it comes over here. We'll see if we get one. Might have gotten through there without any. Didn't see any. But there is debris. You can see that crossing right over the road there. What road is that, Rebecca?
Highway 1.
That is Highway 1?
That's Highway 1.
Okay. Amazing sight there. Actual tornado, live tornado right now in eastern Iowa in Johnson County, southwest of Iowa City. Nick, let's hear what you got to say about this thing. That's a pretty amazing sight. You're right on the tail of it.
This is condensating very rapidly, Terry. This is definitely a pretty decent tornado. It's got really quick rotation. You were watching it live right here on CBS2. Trees were getting ripped out of the ground at the base of this tornado. This is very rapid rotation right now, very close to Kelowna. This is northwest of Kelowna. Rebecca, if you haven't already, if you can pass along to the NWS chat that we have a tornado on the ground. We're now in the RFD, the rear flank downdraft of this tornado. Look at that. They got horizontal suction vortices in that. That is a strong tornado right now. We are going right here. Strong tornado right now. This is west of Hills, southwest of Iowa City. This is heading towards you, Iowa City. Iowa City, you need to take shelter now. This is a confirmed damaging tornado heading in your direction, and you are watching it live here.
All right, Rebecca, let's go back to the radar here. If we can split screen this, obviously we don't want to take off the tornado, so let's keep that up there if at all possible. And I'm sure you're going to get that taken care of. But I do want to try to pinpoint precisely where the tornado is on the ground. Rebecca, if you can get in a little bit closer on it. Looks like it's really close to Sharon Center there. So you can see here's Iowa City, and that extends down towards Hills. Looks like the actual tornado, which is located right in there, is going to move northeast and approach Iowa City. Can we go to the CC, the correlation coefficient now? We'll be able to see if we can get some actual debris showing up there, a debris drop. And that would be in this part of the storm right over in here. Probably less than 8 to 9 miles from Iowa City, and a fairly large tornado now on the ground. This is a dangerous storm. I cannot stress enough. if you're in the Iowa City metro area, this tornado is approaching you, and it is a large enough one that it will produce significant damage and perhaps even injuries if you are not taking proper precautions.
All right, slow down, slow down, slow down. Let it get ahead of us a little bit. You can hear the roar.
That's a strong tornado.
Yes, it is.
Is on the ground not too far southwest of Iowa City, probably about 5 or 6 miles away. It's been on the ground now, I'm guessing, for close to 8 or 10 minutes, moving in a northeasterly direction, and at least up to this point hasn't shown any signs yet of weakening. At some point, these things usually do cycle a little bit, and sometimes they can ebb and flow and go back up into the clouds and then even come back down. But right now, this one is on the ground, and it is producing damage, and it now looks to be a multiple vortex tornado there. You can actually see within the storm itself little fingers rotating around it. And Nick is back on it now, and here's his latest observation. It looks like multiple vortexes there, Nick.
Yeah, Terry, this is incredible. This is a multi-vortex wide tornado. You can see the entire mesocyclone on this tornado rotating. This is very quickly approaching Iowa City. This is the loudest tornado I've ever heard. It had an incredible roar to it. This is a strong, strong tornado as it's beginning to look like it's lifting right now, but you can still see there are still some vortices on the ground. Again, right now we are looking just off to our northwest. Thankfully, very rural areas, but it is quickly right now approaching Iowa City. You can still see suction vortices are on the ground. This is incredible rotation with this storm right now. Again, this is a few miles southwest of Iowa City, heading in that direction. We're hoping this thing lifts permanently. It looks like it's weakening a little bit, but there's still very strong rotation with it. I can tell you, the Sheriff County deputies passed us up here. They're up on that road. They are very close to that tornado right now. But again, this is southwest of Iowa City, fairly rural areas. This is likely right along Highway 1 right now between Iowa City and Kelowna.
And as we mentioned, these storms do tend to cycle, and that doesn't mean that it's completely done producing a tornado, but right now it appears that most of it has gone back up into the actual wall cloud. But we still have very tight, hard rotation there, indicating this storm is certainly capable of producing another one, and it's very possible, as these things do develop and cycle like this one, that another tornado will touch down here very shortly.
All right, let's get ready to roll.
Nick just wanted your interpretation of the rotation.
Right now there, a tree
There
down.
you can see a tree has been knocked over the road. Nick, tell us what you're seeing right there.
Yeah, right now we are just maybe 2-3 miles southwest of Iowa City right now. Again, this is debris that definitely came from this tornado crossing the road here. I can tell you during this area, it didn't appear visually to be on the ground, but as you can clearly see, it definitely was. There's definitely debris still on the road. We're going to see if we can navigate around some of this. We're not entirely sure yet, but there's definitely a lot of tree damage. I can see a building right behind these trees. It has some roof damage. It does appear that it did narrowly miss these two homes here southwest of Iowa City. We're about a mile south of Highway 1 on Sharon Center Road Southwest. So again, there is definitely some tree damage out here, but not seeing any structural damage at the time.
Are you going to be able to advance forward there, Nick? Can you get around it?
We're going to investigate that right now. We're actually, our photojournalist Scott Zimda is helping us kind of remove some of the trees here. We're going to see if we can be able to get moving here. Again, the main reason we're doing this is to try and get everybody early warning of what's going on here. And hopefully we were able to do that for Iowa City.
Also, to those of you in the booth, if you want to look at the Highway 218, Highway 1 camera, I know the DOT is tracking the storm too, so we might be able to get a visual there if you want to try and pull that up. That would be great.
And Since we can't actually see the tornado right now with visually anymore, at least the wall cloud, I want to go back to the radar here. We'll keep the split screen up so you can see what's going on with our crew out there.
The trees blocking the road right here. And these homes were both hit. They're okay in this home right here, thankfully. We checked on them. They were taking shelter because of the early warning.
Yeah, you might want to back up these cars.
I think we just need to push. On one we go. 3, 2, 1, go!
That might be enough to pass it, though. That might be enough to pass.
And Terry, there has been a report from a spotter that they are seeing a funnel visible from Springdale looking towards Iowa City. So that's indicating at least we don't have a tornado on the ground, but the possibility that we could see it cycling. You can see the wall cloud off there in the distance.
You can also notice, too, that this thing is definitely not nearly as close to the ground as it was. The bases have actually even come
Lifted,
up.
yeah.
So to me, it's gotten into an environment that is not nearly as favorable, and it's clearly up in the air. There is no tornado touching ground that we can see right there visually, but there is still the wall cloud, and it is still rotating, so it's still a dangerous storm. But at least going over the metro Iowa City right now, very good news in the fact the tornado itself has lifted for the time being. Hey, Nick, I hear you needed a little gas out there, huh?
Yeah, we needed to kind of gas up and kind of reassess. So we kind of lost a few things along the way. But yeah, we are back rolling. We understand that the tornado warnings are continuing downstream. So we're going to get back on Interstate 80, and we're going to head back eastward towards the West Branch area, where I understand there's possibly a tornado still ongoing. So we're going to try and get you some more live visuals. But we've been talking to people here in Iowa City. We stopped at the gas station, talked to a few folks. There were people that were traveling from Minneapolis to St. Louis, south through our area. They got the alert on their phone, and then they basically took shelter in the cooler of the gas station because of the warning they got. And they were talking about the fact that right now we're on Highway 1 and Highway 218. They're talking about the fact that the tornado was still on the ground very close to here. It lifted and then touched down again very, very close to the site. So even though we weren't able to see that classic, condensed tornado that we were watching earlier, it was apparently still on the ground, dropping at times, causing damage really close to this location.
Interesting information for sure. And this all happened, started happening probably an hour and a half or so ago. And we watched the wall cloud form live here on TV. And then we watched the whole scenario unfold as the tornado started approaching Iowa City. And I think it'd be an excellent idea if we have the video, we could go back to that one more time and show people what we were seeing here this afternoon. And look at the size and the rotation in that there. Ooh, that would have been a terrible thing if that would have hit a metro area, particularly like Iowa City.